Okay. Today, the president of Iran is offering some, well, calming words to the world community, but they don't reflect his country's actions. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is saying that Iran doesn't see the possibility of going to war with Israel or the United States. But he said it just as Iran was kicking off some new military exercises involving some missile squads. Ahmadinejad also taking time to attack President Bush, saying that it will, quote, take at least 30 years in order to compensate, renovate, and innovate the damages done by Mr. Bush. So what is going on here? John Bolton is a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. He's also, as you probably know, a Fox News contributor. Ambassador, good to see you. These mixed messages, what's the aim? Who's the audience? What are we to take from all this?
Well, I think Ahmadinejad, who has come under criticism inside Iran for being provocative, for saying Israel should be wiped off the map, things like that, maybe trying to deflect attention to say Israel would not be justified in using force against Iran because, after all, I have no designs against them. And by criticizing Bush, of course, that's always a cheap shot at the United States, but it's also a way of saying he's the problem in the Middle East, not Iran.
Well, the Revolutionary Guard's head has been pretty clear just in the last day or so, saying, hey, we're going to retaliate. We're going to retaliate directly against not only Israel, but directly against any U.S. naval ships in the area.
Right. I think they're obviously worried by looking at the Israeli exercises, but also that they know better than anybody else how close they are to achieving a deliverable nuclear weapon, and that, of course, is the highest concern for Israel.
So is some of this, conversation basically to placate perhaps some of the Europeans, to get people to come back to the table, to give them, more time to maybe cover up what's actually going on there with that nuclear program?
Right. Iran is expert at this. They just delivered a response on Friday to the latest European offer. It apparently is somewhat unclear, but look, it's to Iran's advantage to negotiate. The longer they can keep the Europeans at the table, the more they can argue there's nothing serious here, there's no need for the use of force. The Iranians would love to negotiate. It gives them cover.
One other question, too. I want to switch topics with you for a second because we've been watching the aftermath of this bombing of the Indian embassy in Afghanistan, and that death toll was so high, a huge, huge incident there, an explosion. Now today the story is that some in the Afghan government are blaming the government of Pakistan, saying that perhaps the intelligence agency there is actually behind this. Do you see any merit to that claim? And if so, what would Pakistan's aim be? I mean, why in Afghanistan, why the Indian embassy, and why do it there, and what would the fallout of that be? I can imagine it would be pretty disastrous.
Right. Well, this is a pretty complex chess game. The Afghans blame the Pakistani government. The Pakistani government says it's not us. The target, obviously, the Indian embassy. If it was elements of the Pakistani intelligence services or others, you can bet the Indians will retaliate. So there's a very dangerous game at stake here. I don't think we know enough at this point to know who actually did it, but certainly worth keeping a careful eye on.
Ambassador John Bolton, former ambassador to the United Nations, Fox News contributor. Good to see you, Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you.